Podcasting from Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada. This is connecting your community, building community through unity. Getting things done takes activism, and Blaine Higgin and Mallory Christiansen have come together to share firsthand community voices, bringing awareness to community issues, watching how other communities handle like problems, and sharing their successes. Connecting your community. Here are your hosts, Blaine Higgin and Mallory Christiansen.
Here we are, 2009.
Almost done.
Almost done 2019.
Yeah. Just chilling. Now we're chilling and we're just going to really review 2019.
And we're going over Christmas time.
Right?
How was your Christmas?
It was beautiful. And
it was awesome. There's so many people that were helped, right?
Yep.
Let's think about that and just touch on that just for a moment on how many different families were helped throughout this Connecting Our Community page, and just some of the requests are out there. And then also you went above and beyond with different families as well.
So anyway, we ended up sponsoring 6 families, and this was everything from mom and dad having gifts, or if there was a lone parent, so whether it was mom or just dad, and then all of their children were spoiled. And you know, I can honestly say I posted a video on Connecting Our Community, our public page, just sharing, because when I actually dropped off, and it gets me emotional every time, when I dropped off some of the gifts to one particular family, this little girl came up to her mom and myself, and of course they didn't know I was coming. It was just, referrals through friends, referrals from this person, that person. And Blaine, a lot of these families were actually denied, right? Because maybe they made a few hundred over the cutoff or whatever the case is, right? So in any event, I went over and this little girl came up and she goes, "Mom, we are going to have a Christmas." And if that doesn't break your heart, knowing that we have families in Lethbridge living in poverty and children who didn't even believe or know if they were going to have a Christmas, that's a blessing to be able to just, because of our community, be able to go and bring these gifts to families.
The one thing that I struggle with is that so much of this happens, though, don't you agree, throughout Christmas time? And then, not that it's forgotten, but there's less done after. Yeah. And I know we've talked about this off a podcast about something you do for Easter time, and that's something that we want to talk about another podcast. Just something that you do and you've done ever since the passing of your mom, an Easter egg hunt, right? If you want to just touch on that just for a second, because it kind of takes it in for the whole, extend it a little bit more for the year.
I think that's one of the most critical points, is that people aren't living in poverty just at Christmas. People don't just need help at Christmas. Right. Families and children need help all year around, right? And one of the biggest things is there's so much generosity at Christmas time, but that has to continue through the whole rest of the year.
Absolutely,
and so
that's
why I'm grateful for our collaboration, for our connection with so many amazing humans in Lethbridge, because I've always been someone that believes in shedding love and creating magic all year long, right? So 4 years ago, I lost my mom to cancer, and it was probably one of the most hardest times in my life for anyone who has lost a parent or a sibling, whatever the case is. So yeah, Christmas for me even brings up a lot of grief, kind of just going back to that, right? Because, your family meals, you're missing your mom.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
I spend a lot of time critically reflecting and giving thanks for everything that I have, but there is that empty piece in your heart, right? So I do cry during Christmas, I'm not going to lie, because you have to celebrate an amazing mom who's no longer with you, right? So anyway, 4 years ago, we lost her to cancer, and it was such a quick battle, Blaine. It was, hey, I got a diagnosis of cancer. Okay, so we're looking at about 2 years. All of a sudden, 6 months later, we lost her, right? So I knew Easter was one of her favorite holidays ever. And so instead of sitting around and crying about it, I was like, you know what, I'm going to have a community Easter egg hunt. And the first year started with about 30 kids, just close friends, family, etc. And last year we ended up capping it at just over 230 children. And I didn't expect it to go that big. And
and where do you do this?
So every year is a different venue, but I think moving forward, there's a significant venue that's really meaningful for her, and it's only open to people who actually register, because there is so much work. Actually, I start planning it in January because that's how big it gets, right?
Oh,
so we're gonna have our own little board. There is a small fee, and that's just because kids go away. we packed 10,000 Easter eggs. Okay. 10,000 Easter eggs.
People are still finding them in November, I'm sure, right?
Just miraculously amazing. And so we actually collaborated with Bikers Building Bridges last year. And then I also met a whole bunch of bikers one day at Lakeview Bakery. And if you know me, I'm like, hey, I'm Mallory. Like,
that's
I just
weird.
go
That's not
and,
like you,
and
hey?
talk to people. And that's, just a beautiful trait that I have. So I like shook these guys' hands. Bikers from Calgary ended up coming down. So there were about 15 of them, and they came and volunteered their time to distribute 10,000 Easter eggs. All the children go away with amazing, like, little party,
Little packs
beautiful little
go with.
packs, and then also major raffle draw prizes. And this year I expect it to be double the amount of prizes because of all the community connections, right? Castro Loop Express last year donated a brand new bike and a helmet and a visa for a child. And it's magical.
Visa for a child.
Yeah, to go get like whatever kind of bike gear that
like
they
a
need.
helmet or this or
I
that.
take a lot of pride in that. And I also give youth the opportunity to build volunteer work experience because they're not only packing the eggs, but they're actually working on, their conversing skills with others. They're leaders at the Easter egg hunt. So all around, it's not only for families, but it's also for youth to start building their resume as well. Yeah. So yeah, I'm all about that.
What a great way to carry on the memory of your mom.
Yeah.
And I know Boxing Day is really a tough day for our family. Is 3 years ago, my mom passed away after a short battle with a stem cell transplant, about a 6-month similar way,
I didn't know that.
and was on Boxing Day had passed away. So Boxing Day is kind of not my favorite day. It used to be the day that I used to get out and check out all the sales, wait in line at 5 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, so the Christmas of 16 was just, it was much different. And yet we still carry on. Our family gets together. We had a fantastic get together, our family this year here. And just to remember those good times, because you know what, there's so many things that good times you can remember and just sit around as family and joke and giggle and laugh about things that we've experienced over the years. So it's really awesome.
That's awesome.
I didn't realize both of us had lost family members to something like that. And so this time of year is quite different for me and obviously for yourself.
Most definitely, and for anyone, right? And I think also another thing is if you have a family member that is consumed in addiction, right? So my family has someone who is consumed in addiction, and that also leaves like a really sad residue on your heart as well, because
how's Christmas for someone with an
tough,
addiction,
right? And because sometimes families have boundaries put up where you just can't have that family member even at your Christmas table because you don't know the type of, state or, even if it's a drug psychosis, whatever the case is you need to ultimately have a safety and, boundaries put up. So, my heart also goes out. I understand for any family that's struggling with someone that is going through addiction and consumed by it, because that's a real thing. And, it kind of reminds me to put it out there is that there's support for family members as well, because even though I'm on Christmas holidays, you're not, because you're still...
No, in your line of work, a frontline worker, you will get calls all the time,
You're getting
right?
calls, and even with connecting our community, like people are reaching out, and the distress line was given out to probably 15 different people.
You talk about that. So I just to say on that, it's Christmas time. We think it's the time that everybody's
100%.
together and everybody is happy. And it's the number one time of year for domestic disputes and violence, etc. It's really bizarre that's that time, because you think that Christmas time is everyone comes together, but of course it's probably doesn't help with a mix of the cocktails, etc. that are out there. Family, it's great to be with your family, but sometimes it's like, okay, we got the family and then, but there's so much all in one time that it's a difficult time. So I did see both from our provincial government and locally, and I'm sure you've shared it a lot, these lines for communication.
Absolutely.
If that stress is there or
and even suicide, it's
huge.
Christmas and the holiday season is actually deemed one of the most toughest times for people. Right. So one of my biggest promotions is obviously the Canadian Mental Health Distress Line. I do a lot of referrals over that way, but then also even the Canadian National Suicide Hotline, because people are contemplating killing themselves because they are lonely and they are isolated on Christmas, right? So, for me, it's just super important to make sure that people in our community and elsewhere, no matter all of the followers that we have, is that they know that there's help out there, and that no matter what you're going through, no matter what you've gone through, you're not alone. Right. And whatever you've gone through doesn't define who you are. And, there's support out there if you need it. Yeah. But speaking of Boxing Day, I know that it might not be the most easiest time for you, but I do recall you sharing a crazy story that was like literally boxing going on Boxing Day. Can you just share what you saw? It's a different Boxing Day.
I was out and I was looking for some hockey equipment and I'm looking for these specials to come out, and happened to go down by Burton Max.
Yeah.
Looking at some stuff.
Supervised consumption
site area.
Doug Hamilton's area.
And witnessed quite an amazing Boxing Day. Boxing Day. That's happening every single day. It does happen.
Punching each other in the face.
And I kind of had to do a double take because I thought it's not something that I think is a common, and I would not remember this happening years ago.
Yep.
So it's very different. I need to understand that this is becoming, I hate to say, the norm around our community, and it's really sad to say that this is happening. And that was a boxing, a true Boxing Day.
Literally Boxing Day on experience. Boxing Day. And, you think about so many different people, and I know the families are, going from the mall to Burton Max to all the different shops that are downtown. And it's just like, what we're allowing in our community, Blaine, and kind of as we go through, just even reflecting over 2019, is we're becoming very normalized to thinking that, individuals shooting up in public is okay. It is illegal. And you can call the police if you see people shooting up and using drugs, even smoking a crack pipe. That's illegal. And that's against the law. So please report it. That's the whole reason why we started connecting our community. Right. Report crime, report drug activity.
It is crime.
Because police need those statistics, right? But anyway.
Let's get off of that. Did you see my lovely mug, Mallory?
I'm a Bernese Mountain Dog person, and I just can't even do that cup right now.
This looks
He's trying to be better than me with my cups.
So this is for Christmas time from my Bruno.
Yeah.
This is a gift from my Bruno. So we've got two.
Bruno hates me.
Doesn't hate you. He's just not used to you.
He's like, rawr.
So Bruno and Gigi, two Frenchtons that we have, and this looks just like Bruno. And so, of course, Bruno got me this lovely gift for Christmas time. So, yes, it's one-upping you on your San Francisco mug there, by the way.
I know, San Francisco is my favorite place that I went to in 2019, and I do want to share a little bit about my experience, my personal growth in 2019, but definitely remind me to talk about San Francisco.
2019.
Yep.
So lots happened in 2019, right? And so to start off, and it's tough to put any one particular thing because we had so many different things that happened, both yourself and myself, throughout this year and in our community. Yep. If you're to pick a few things, what would you say was some of the main, I guess a couple things, because again, it's tough. What would you say was for
Lethbridge?
Yeah, for Lethbridge.
Oh, I'm going to say one of the most influential things that I think happened in our community. I would most definitely say Tevi Legg, a local woman who was actually the recipient of Canada's most influential women, right? So that was really cool.
Lethbridge.
And she's from Lethbridge.
That's incredible.
That's something that we need to celebrate as a community. Like, what an honor that her work in Lethbridge was recognized nationally.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
so
amazing.
that was pretty cool. And that's kind of what I like to focus on.
That's one. And I think another one,
yep.
I'm sure, connecting our community.
Yeah, connecting
Look
our
at what happened there. This is why we are here today. This is the connection that
to focus on like everyone else.
That we had, right? As far as us connecting up. And we've talked about this in previous podcasts, but that was kind of a start, the activism that came from that. And I know this is going back to summertime, some of the different events that happened there. The rally in front of City Hall. There's a rally that was on Mayor McGrath Drive. Again, a rally not against the supervised consumption site. And so often people said, you're against that. No, it's a rally against crime. Yep. Now, there could be some connection that people find that comes from the crime in having the supervised consumption site, and that's part of the crime. But that's probably another big one.
Yeah,
and I'm putting it in your mouth, but I'm sure it's going to come out anyways. That is probably
personal 2019, right? And for me, it was huge because, I've talked about this before. Is I've been on the front line for 10 years. Right. I've been serving individuals who have been homeless and the same crew of individuals who have been homeless for 10 years, and let's get real, is that for 10 years I've heard that we're going to get supportive housing. Okay, we're gonna do all of this for the population that's on the streets. Well, nothing's changed, and
that stuff you remember, and I'm sure we've talked that it's very much other levels of government that are involved in that. Yes. But that doesn't mean that we can't keep the pressure on. Yeah. And we do have some stuff that is coming forward, but it's like pushing a wet noodle at times. Anything governmental takes so much time.
I know,
but it's important. These are some of the things. So 2019, our homeless population doubled.
Yep.
And so to dealing with this is a struggle as well.
Yeah. But I'm trying to connect it, right? Yeah. So you have a homeless population that has increased dramatically, and I'm working with the parents, and now I'm working with their kids coming on the streets. Right. Okay, they're aging out of the system and without any support. So now we're getting the 18 to 25-year-olds. But, when we go back to this with the rally and connecting our community, is that, we need more support services. And
yes, we do. Because
of connecting our community, people either love me or they absolutely dislike me, and it's something that I want to...
That's frustrating because there's nothing that you advocate for that is not to better our community.
Blaine, but I'm not advocating a 1-pillar flag. I'm advocating a 4-pillar flag. So what happens?
And of course, we do need those other pillars, because if you have the one pillar and you're not continuing with trying to set up these other pillars or trying to get these other workarounds, you're getting nowhere.
Yeah. And that's what's happening.
You're feeding this addiction. As a matter of fact, it's my opinion, I always got to put that out there, it's my opinion that it is more detrimental without having the other legs of this chair, if you will, and just having the enabling side there.
But there was a drug strategic plan that was adopted, that was known and was supposed to happen, is that we're going to have a treatment center. We're going to have detox. We're going to have the intox. Yes, we have Alpha House now. Thankfully, we have Alpha House. And then we're going to have the supportive housing and then the supervised consumption site. Well, we're massively failing this population. And so long story short, crime increases over thousands and thousands %. Drug-related crime, okay? These are my guys that I'm working with. These are my guys that I volunteer with. But in any event, the biggest thing is that I'm blasted, I'm harassed, I'm blacklisted because I'm not waving a 1-pillar flag. Yeah, I'm holding people accountable who said we need all 4 pillars and we don't have it.
And I do want to touch on that for a second. And
it's been hard.
Well, it's what's super frustrating is, and I've heard, because we communicate quite often, that, and I didn't realize that this would actually happen. You've literally been blacklisted in our community.
I've been blacklisted from almost every organization in this
community. Because I know interviews will come up and all of a sudden they're dropped, or you'll go to another place and, sorry.
I heard you're doing this. I heard you're doing that. And you heard that I'm trying to advocate for a safe community. And this is the thing that actually hurts my heart the most, is that if you have misperceptions from the very beginning, I've invited people to come and talk to me.
And you know what? So let's talk about that. Not just at this level here. But let's make sure, put that invitation out there to contact us and let us know if you want to be on here. We are not one side on anything. We like to bring
I brought Mike the community on, and we have the most there's
it's not completely opposite, but there's a lot of different ideologies that he shares that you do not share in the same way.
And that's where
that's fine. It's communication.
Shining, because we're inviting conversation.
That's right.
Right? So even when people are blasting us about this podcast that we're doing, and it's like, if you want to come on and share what you believe in, we invite you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have to go hide behind your computer screen and,
the one with 2 followers, so you all of a sudden find this new person out there that's jumping on and trashing.
Stop it. And just, that's, again, we've talked about this before, Blaine, is that's where our community is so divided, is instead of just coming and saying, hey, you know what? I just want to talk to you guys. No, I'm going to blast you everywhere. I'm going to shame you on social media. Well, no, because
And never
actually
any comments.
real
It's
people
just
talk.
it's just exactly communication, right?
Yeah,
So
and
that's
Joe
frustrating.
Rogan and
What
Brett,
an amazing, hey?
yeah, and Brett
That's
Weinstein.
Yeah.
They do an incredible podcast about public and private conversations, right? And so for us, we are all about connecting with our community. We're connecting other people's communities. So I think we're doing something right. And that's inviting conversation, that's having conversation. We're not blasting people. We're not trying to bring them down. We're not shaming people. We are here because we care about Lethbridge and we care about the safety of our residents.
And we're open to speak with anyone. And that's so important. If you want to call in, if you don't want to be on the show, but if you want to call in,
even if you
that's
need your
no problem
fake,
as well. And we can
Facebook profile name. That's cool too.
Yeah, come in and show your face. That's right.
Okay, so 2019.
2019.
Talk to me about the city of Lethbridge manager leaving, or he's now gone, or what's going on, because he was amazing.
Lots of different. I'll tell you what, he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Not just amazing, just unbelievable. It was the start to so many great things. We started off with this report by KPMG. I know when the city manager first started, we'd all came in what we wanted to see.
Where was he
from? And I know he's from Winnipeg.
Nice.
And so one of the biggest things that I had, and I'd said, when the new city manager, I really want to see an audit of all of our different departments.
Wow.
I was told audit was a little rough in the word. How about a review? Well, I don't care what it's called. Yeah. Go through each of our departments and see where we can find efficiencies, because I was really tired of always hearing the comment, okay, if you want to save money, we need to cut this service. And I'd always come back with, well, why do we need to cut it? Why couldn't we be more efficient in the way we do it, so that we still have the same service for a lesser price? I don't understand sometimes how you got to cut service to save.
Yeah.
I'm so pro on just becoming more efficient. So this city manager was unbelievable, Mr. Bramwell Strain. And he was here for, I guess, about a year and a half, and was phenomenal. And obviously, as we all know, had put his resignation in here last month. And it was really difficult. It was really difficult. And I do want to touch on one thing. Council knew this in October, okay, and did not come out until the beginning of December. And there's a reason for that. We had this review going on with KPMG, and we didn't want to have anything, that to not continue the way that it was. So we came out, we decided it was going to be in December. And so that's when it came out. And with our city manager in leaving, the questions are always coming, right? Why is he leaving? Is he frustrated with council? Is he angry with the supervised consumption side? Is he this, that? So many different questions, right, out there. And you know what? It was a personal reason.
That's what I heard.
It's a personal reason. And you know what? There's I know his family is there, and in Winnipeg, and it's tough. And I'm not there to ask him what his personal reason is.
Absolutely. And
there was people
business,
regarding his health.
It's no
is his health okay? His health was fine. It was a personal reason he decided to leave. It's none of our business. And you know what? If it comes to a family being that personal reason,
absolutely,
I have so much more respect for somebody that puts family first.
Yep. So here's some of the feedback that I've heard is, was council truly being transparent if you guys knew this information already about him, leaving? Like, how does that work?
Could you ask that? Because we were embargoed. So we were it was a closed meeting where, under the request of the city manager, we had decided to keep this quiet again while this review was going on. So to step outside that, my responsibility as a councillor is to keep that closed meeting, the in-camera meeting, private until the date that we decided together to release that. So if I was to go out and mention, we knew in October, and if in November I came out and said, hey, our city manager is leaving, I'm going outside.
Of course.
So it's not that it's a lack of transparency, because I have talked to a few people about that. And how come you knew this and you didn't say anything? There's rules. Legally, we can't say anything.
Yeah.
Now, we could go outside, and then we'll have to deal with, those results if we were to go outside and speak to this when we were told not to.
Yep.
So no,
sense,
it's
right?
just, it's frustrating.
Yeah.
I guess it comes down to this, that it's sad. I'm really sad. We had a great relationship. I think our city manager was amazing. Where he was going was unbelievable. But we know now what to look for in this next city manager. Similar values. We saw what this did. So this is who we're going to look for, and that will happen. Hopefully sooner than later. We'll have a new city manager to continue on with some of these more reviews in our other departments.
Yep. So actually, speaking of the city manager, there was some feedback that we received that the city manager actually made less than the executive director of the supervised consumption site.
We don't know what number that was on the supervised. We don't know what number.
Someone that, he's a manager of how many different employees.
Well, here's the thing too, is
And,
we don't know if it was the CAO or who it was. We just know an individual was making over $250,000 a year at the supervised consumption site. We do not, or at Arches. We do not know who that person is. So
why?
I'm surprised when it all came out that Arches would not come and say, you know what, this is the person. Just be transparent. Instead, it was like, there's some people that make this, and would not give who the names were.
That's a lot of money to be making for 180 employees, when the city of Lethbridge manager has how many? Under 2,000.
Under
2,000 employees. I'm trying to wrap my brain around all of this, that all the information that came out in 2019, and I have all these amazing human beings who are asking me these questions, and it's like, I don't know. I don't know how the city manager makes less than someone at Arches. Yeah. Right? That's something that we need to critically look at as well. That's huge.
Yeah, and that's something that they would have to address. I hope that there's a transparency side when this all happens. That obviously they come out and will mention that. I mean, I think it's just fair.
But one other thing too that I just want to quickly, before we keep going into some of the beautiful things in 2019, is definitely I want to talk about Doug Hamilton. But going back to, you asked me about being blacklisted, and in fact, there's 2 other women in the community, myself and 2 other women, who have also been blacklisted as a result of advocating for change, right? And I really want to speak to that on one particular podcast moving forward in the new year, because people who advocate and people who might have a different view and maybe have even more frontline experience, we know what we're talking about when we see deterioration of human beings every single day. Right. But if you don't conform to the ideology, Blaine, you're shamed for not conforming into that. Right. It's like a defense mechanism.
That's an issue in it. That's an issue in itself, right? If
you're going to change and you're going to help people and you're going to create a safe community, you're going to speak a little bit louder. So I'm not without, I knew people would be coming after me. I get that. But harassing me, blacklisting me, that's just really, it's
blacklisting,
pitiful.
And some of you comment on some of your Facebook.
You're taking away from the clients that I could be helping right now, is what you're doing.
But you know what? A lot of these are the people that are making these comments on Facebook, etc. That fake profiles.
Yep.
They're in there and they're quite rude. You've read some. I am shocked at what they, and that they're fake. They have a fake names, and they have
they have no friends.
They have 0 friends.
They always come up when you're least expecting it.
Exactly.
But what's funny though is that the majority of the people who are actually being really rude and cruel to me are social work cohort graduates. Right?
Oh, yeah, well, there's the blacklisting. You've got
same faculty that we're supposed to be humanitarian and we're supposed to support, individuals in such vulnerable circumstances, and these are the ones that are blasting me. Yeah. Right? So it's just like the community needs to know the stuff that I've gone through as a result of advocating solely for a safer community, right? Because let's be honest,
it's not a good thing to do.
Crime,
do you not know that?
Yes. Whatever, right? But crime has gone up thousands and thousands and thousands % increase this year alone in 2019 in Lethbridge.
But that's normal.
And it's not normal.
That's normal.
It's not normal.
And it's got nothing to do with
with the changes and the one pillar that we have, right?
This is all and those that stick to that, It's interesting, but
you
you know what?
know,
Can we just pop off for a quick break? And we want to thank our sponsors,
Smith
obviously.
Audio,
So we want to
thank you for the month of December for just sponsoring
and the
us
art room and at Smith. So
Yep.
so we'll head to a quick break if we
That
can.
sounds great.
This is Connecting Your Community with Blaine Higgin and Mallory Christiansen. We'll be right back after these messages.
There's a new art shop in town.
What?
Watercolors, acrylics, pastels, brushes, oils, canvas, and paper.
Oh, where?
It's new, the art room at Smith's Audio on 13th Street North.
For high performance sound.
And super art supplies.
At Smith's Audio on 13th Street North, we promise to only sell high-performance electronics. We promise to support mostly Canadian companies like Paradigm, Anthem, NAD, Bryston, and PSB. We keep promises. Smith's Audio, 13th Street North. Electronics simplified.
Here we are. I get, again, thank you to Smith's Audio and the art room
such a great person.
Smith. That's fantastic. Let me touch a little bit. I've wanted to talk a little bit about some of the help that's been out in our community, and one group in particular, the Sage Clan.
This is a group of amazing, selfless volunteers who have gone throughout Lethbridge, the downtown area. They work with individuals who are on our streets, and they're actually having more success than paid organizations are, getting people into treatment, getting referrals done, and I'm not going to sit here and steal and pretend I know everything that they do, but what I can tell you with 100% absolute honesty is that they're actually making an impact. They meet
absolutely
the individuals
are.
with where they're at every single day, no matter if they're high or they're coming down. This is a group that actually cares, but have no funding from city council coming in.
And touching on what you said about not knowing really about this group, I would love to be able to host some of this, have a better understanding on exactly what they do and how they help our community. So that's something that I would hope to be able to.
We've tried to connect with Sage a couple times, and again, like their work is at night.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so they're on the streets when all the workers are at home peacefully sleeping.
Yeah.
And I just say that because these guys are actually out there making a difference. Right. So I'm going to let you connect with them because you can't share about what this group is because they're so impactful and they're actually making a huge difference in this
unbelievable,
community.
And we will find out more, and hopefully we'll be able to host them on some time so that they can actually.
So. We put it out there quite a bit, and our schedules just don't align right now.
Well, you know what? We'll keep working on that.
I want to talk about Douglas Hamilton. I want to talk about Douglas Hamilton because this was
There's a 2019.
Point.
That was
this
a big.
Was, for me in 2019, meeting Douglas Hamilton was the turning point in my life. And this is what ultimately opened up a brand new door for me is because I was told, Mallory, you've crossed the line when you met with Doug. I love air quotes,
by the way.
Yeah, that's this is verbatim what they said. You crossed the line when you met with Douglas Hamilton. So
now, this is from your line of work?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for people who don't know, Douglas Hamilton is straight up in ground zero, and that's what he refers it to. He is a business owner right behind the supervised consumption site. So yes, people in my field said, you crossed the line when you met with Douglas Hamilton. And I said, why is that? Well, because Douglas Hamilton put surveillance all over his video or all over his store to.
So it's on, and I see it's on YouTube. If you want to really see what is going on,
so,
it's
they're crying
there,
human rights when realistically, like my house has security and surveillance. So I was deemed
not illegal.
No, right? I crossed the line because I went and talked to a man who I wanted to hear what was going on for him. Mm-hmm. After I met with Douglas Hamilton, I lost countless friends. I lost countless people that I used to collaborate with, professional relationships, because how dare I go and speak to Douglas Hamilton to hear what's happened to him. Doug Hamilton in 2019 received over 3 death threats. Okay?
Yeah.
Doug Hamilton was assaulted over 7 times, over $30,000 he had to pay to fix windows, and over $100,000
worth
of damage done to his building.
He finally put on the roll shutters on the windows because they were broken so many times. But that in itself was a cost. And I want to say, and don't quote me, I think it was $60,000 or $70,000 to do that. So to understand the frustrations that someone's going through when it comes to what is happening, as you said, is ground zero.
Yeah.
How can you not give attention to those concerns?
Yeah. So everyone that I was, found myself out at lunch this day, they're all, whether they graduated from the same faculty as I, or, they're all on the front line. Okay. So we're all supposed to be helping the community become better. And anyways, so I'm like, everyone's complaining about this Doug Hamilton and how dare he? And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, why don't we just go meet him?
So nobody else met prior. So you can talk about this person without going out and finding out his concerns or anything.
There was never someone that went to him just to hear his side. And I don't even like using that, to hear what's happened to him. So I said, I'm going to go meet him. And I did. I rolled up straight to Hamilton's and Carpet, and I now have met two of the most beautiful humans who are in my life now, Doug and his wife. And
Shelley.
They're just amazing humans. And never once have I ever heard them discriminate against people who use the supervised consumption site. Never have I heard them talk ill of any of the people that work at Arches. I have never heard anything
the side
cruel.
effects are of what's happening. So not those using inside, but when they're up against his building, or they're using where it is illegally being consumed. That's where the frustration comes from him. Use inside the facility. You hear him on numerous times throughout his videos telling them, go and use inside the facility. You saw them cutting stuff on a breaker box outside his building with security there doing nothing. Yeah. That's frustrating to him. So definitely. And I do want to I know that this is a tough time of year between Christmas and New Year's, but we will have time where we have business owners in that area that are affected, and we'll be speaking with them.
Even if Arches wanted to come and sit down and talk with us, right? This isn't,
absolutely.
That's the beautiful thing about us, is that just come speak, come talk, and come share. But what Douglas Hamilton did was he stood up and just shared his own experience. And maybe a couple weeks ago, Blaine, they actually had a video of a mom, an auntie. It was an auntie.
Was the auntie,
who tried to come and bring her niece home, who was living on the streets. And of course, Doug films it. And long story short, of course, he gets blasted for it. But, he turned around and did something beautiful. And that was, he opened up his shop to family who have loved ones on the streets, accessing the supervised consumption site. Hey, come to my shop for coffee. Coffee's on, come for conversation. I have yet to see anyone else open their doors for family who have people on our streets that are struggling as a result of the increased drug use in this community that we never had in 2018.
And that's amazing. You talk about some of these aunts, these grandmas, those family members that are there trying to help those individuals that are not wanting help.
Who's supporting them, Blaine?
And who is supporting? There's something that they're going through, and I could only imagine what that's like. And I know some different families that have individuals going through that. Really frustrating. And you know what? I think it's having him open his doors to have them, hey, is there anything I can do to help you as you help your family?
And all the people who are so unkind to him, and even when he posts his stuff, right? And it's just like, they're blasting him. I'm like, go have a coffee with Doug Hamilton.
And not just to have a coffee. Think about the different things and what Doug sees on a daily basis. I couldn't imagine. I'm a business owner. I couldn't imagine seeing that on a day-to-day basis.
This is acceptable, Blaine. There's no problem in our city,
but it didn't happen years prior,
Exactly.
and that's why when I see this, I get so frustrated. Like it's there's the expectation to just go around and I guess huddle around and sing Kumbaya. I'm sorry, I get a little wound up for this because there's frustration.
That was your business? But this is the other thing that we hear. There's no problem. There's no needle debris. People aren't getting kidnapped. Okay, look at in 2019, we've had someone be kidnapped in their car. Okay, at knife point from McDonald's on the north side, taken to the supervised consumption site, taken to a bank, taken to the Blood Tribe Reserve, dropped off, and he's, stranded on the Blood Tribe Reserve. And then, we've had people taken at machete point, carjacked, sexually assaulted, guns
Mallory,
being shot off.
That's just normal.
Welcome to 2019
but this
in
is
Lethbridge,
this is
Alberta,
normal.
Canada.
It's
not normal, and this isn't okay. When we put up all those signs that said report crime, we deserve a safe community, save our children, scan based out of
Yes.
Calgary, acknowledged the work that we did. We had a
Right.
92% decrease of transient individuals who used to walk up and
Right.
down our block every single day.
And how many
92%.
drug houses shut down?
Over 5 drug houses have now
And what
been
did they
shut
say?
down.
They said that, and in their news release, it had pictures of all of the different work that
All of those ugly, hideous signs that those people
hideous
call
sign.
them.
But that's amazing. And they actually spoke to the importance of these groups. So again, make sure you report if there's a
Absolutely.
drug house in your area and you believe there is. Don't go to Facebook and just
I
put
know.
it there. If you want to let your neighbors know,
Yep.
that's one thing. But also make sure to get a hold of the police, get a hold of Scan, because
report
this
everything.
report everything. You need to
Yep.
make sure, because this has made a difference in our community. It's been amazing. And to have Scan come out and mention that it was this community was a big part of that in sharing their concerns.
honor.
It's unbelievable.
Yep.
So yes, there's probably a 2019 number one thing, or at the top of what happened with that group. I'm so excited. We always talk about this
I
connecting
know.
our community, and
Well,
it's
we're blessed, right?
it's-
And it's
it's
connecting
so
our
exciting.
community. It's not connecting one side, it's connecting everyone.
Let's wrap up with one thing that's coming out in the new year. So in 2020, so we were invited by my brother reached out to me, and we've done this polar plunge for numerous years.
so
And I still
excited.
think that I'm thawing out from the previous years that I've done this, because I think we've done it 3 or 4 times. And I missed last year's. We were out of town for something, and I didn't. Was it last year or the year before I missed? Anyways, it froze my brain, obviously, right?
Thanks, Braylon.
But,
I'm so excited to jump in the water.
So
again.
we're looking forward to that, and it's for an amazing cause for Special Olympics, and so.
Your face, it's like it's already freezing.
I've already freezing. So it's for an amazing cause,
Yeah.
and I know my brother with the police. He's done everything from the marathon runs to he works with different basketball individuals with Special Olympics and different sports, and it's amazing what he does. A shout out to Constable Higgin, and I know
Higgin
it's
is probably one of the best officers that I ever had the honor of working with, and now he's canine. Your brother not only does the polar plunge, he volunteers and works with individuals with disabilities. He's coaching.
He's really
stand-up guy.
He's bought in lock, stock, and barrel for that
Great
cause
unit,
and
too.
what it does.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Tell
and
everyone
you've
where
done
the
it.
polar plunge is.
Yeah.
It's at Henderson
It's at
Lake.
Henderson
and
Lake.
It's February 1st,
And February
2020.
the 1st, 2020. If there's an interest, we will have a link out there. Please go on and set up.
Yeah, what is the crazy thing about the polar plunge though too is that I think I did a cannonball last
I did
year,
that too. I
and
can't
I got the
believe it.
water all up my nose and
And you're
through my
sick.
mouth, and then I was out for 2 weeks sick, like with water in my lungs, and I'm like, you asked me if I wanted to jump. I'm like, how can you say no to supporting amazing,
I used to say thing like,
extraordinary
can I not be away on a
athletes?
holiday
But
or something during this time? But no, it's for a good cause.
so
I'm
many
looking
people are
forward
like,
to that.
oh, I'm out of town in January. I'm like, too bad. It's in
February.
February.
All right. So
yeah, thank
I
you,
think,
everyone.
I think it's just some time. So let's, in closing with that, let's let's look forward to what 2020 has to
2020 is gonna be
What
beautiful.
have you got in the 2020? Like, is there anything that you've got plans? Do you have any
Yeah,
resolution?
I don't do resolutions. I believe
don't?
in just celebrating every single day, right? And becoming a better human every single day.
And it
just-
seems like resolutions a lot of time they're difficult because you feel like you've failed if you don't exactly
Yeah,
do. So
keep it
I
real.
think, but I still keep them in my mind,
Yeah.
different things that, okay, I want to do this and do that. And I know that people say if you don't write it down, it's not going to happen. A goal that's not written down is just a dream.
Really?
I don't know. This is one of these classes that I attended, and I do, you know what, I do believe it. If you're looking back at something you've written down, it does make a difference.
Yep.
But so with that, I think we will head out. Look forward to the next podcast. And again, get in touch with us if you want to be
Absolutely. We invite
on
you.
the next podcast or an upcoming podcast. Please let us know.
You've been listening to Connecting Your Community with Blaine Higgin and Mallory Christiansen. Join us next time as we continue to discuss community topics and how all of us together can make a difference. Remember, there is no community without unity.